Hey Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today to share with you this sketch-based layout. This is the sketch, and I created this particular layout based on that sketch using my Cocoa Daisy December 2017 memory keeping kits. So I had actually started this layout with an 8.5 by 11 layout and a smaller picture, and I couldn't get everything to work the way that I wanted it to. So I found this picture of my son and my husband, and I blew it up to 12 by 12 and had it printed at Costco, and used those same stripes that I had tried using on the 8.5 by 11 layout. And my original plan had actually been to use the flip side of the stamp postage mark, that right there. So I had cut the pattern paper, and those triangles actually gave me the perfect diagonal line, but it didn't work with this particular picture. So I ended up flipping it and then cutting an orange stripe and then the diagonal stripe to go with it. Now, because I had cut the stripes straight across the paper, they did not work on the dimension of the 12 by 12 layout, so I had to, where the journal card was going to be, split the stripes around the journal card there. So the sketch calls for the 3 diagonal stripes and then 2 square pictures. So because I have the big giant picture, I shifted the stripes over to the left, which allowed you to see the picture on the right hand side, and then I didn't need what is 2 pictures in the sketch, and so instead I used the one journal card from the pocket kit. And then I still kept the title above that space there, and then did some embellishing around all of that. So you can see where I've split these stripes, and actually you'll see that the blue striped stripe doesn't fit, and so I do end up having to cut another piece of pattern paper, which is fine. I had used pencil to mark where I was going to have to cut these, and you can see I strategically didn't use the pencil in the right place, and so that's why I end up having to cut that other strip. So I just put them down as they were, which made it easy with my X-Acto and ruler to trim off those edges, and I can get nice and flush with that 12 by 12 photo. And those are the stripes, and I love the way that the stripes, see, that's where it didn't work. I love the way that the stripes, the movement in the picture is, you've got that long, I'm going to call it, it's actually a bridge, so that long gray-brown bridge, gray-brown bridge, and the movement of the stripes kind of lead your eye to the horizon of the picture, which is kind of neat. So there's that longer stripe that I fixed, or diagonal, and trim that off. So that actually ends up being the bulk of the layout. Now to figure out where to put the title and how I'm going to get the rest of this layout done. So this kit comes with a bunch of tags, and I thought I'd use the blue tag because I have the blue and the orange as the color theme, but I actually really like that tag of the old map, and the way that the tag breaks up those stripes just a little bit. You still get the movement of the stripes, but they're not quite so prominent. So those were the clouds from the sticker sheet that I thought would look neat up in that top right hand corner. The top of the picture, the sky is sort of faded, and so I thought the clouds would kind of be a fun embellishment there, but the colors are wrong and they kind of get washed out. So I wanted to back this cluster, the embellishment cluster, sort of journal cluster, and I really liked that blue, but the blue is sort of the wrong blue for that blue stamped diagonal, as well as the fact that because the sky is pretty washed out, the blue behind the journal card made it even more obvious that the sky was washed out. I also have a stark contrast between the washed out sky. It was actually really cloudy that day. It wasn't so much that it was washed out in the picture. And then, so I have the contrast of that stark sky and then the shadow in the trees. And I wanted to sort of soften that contrast. The other thing about this kit is that it's a bit dingy. There's a lot of ecru and sort of browny hues. And I'm kind of more of a white gal, so I needed to put something in the layout that contrasted all of these lighter, less poppy colors, I'm going to call them. And when by pop, I mean I like my pops of color. And so I was able to provide that contrast with those dark shadows in the trees and then the elements in the kit here. So I'm looking for other ways to maybe get that second element in the diagonals. I tried another journal card and that didn't work. I really like this stamp set. My original intent had been to stamp month of and then August, because we were at Kings Canyon. This is where this picture is taken in August of last summer. And I was going to put that stamp that somewhere. I just couldn't make it work. So these are the stickers. They're really cool and I really like the sayings and I like life is an adventure, but I have a very big layout, and so I really felt that the title needed to be a bigger title than what that ended up being. So I stuck those back on the sticker sheet and I pulled out these stickers that come with the kit, or the letters that come with the kit, and I really liked the hello. And then thought that I could cut adventure from my silhouette, either that or find some other way of putting adventure in there. So I'm sort of playing with the placement of this. I know that the sketch calls for the title above the squares, and that's where I really thought it would go, but wondered if maybe the letters would pop out more if I put it in the shadow. So while I'm playing around with it and figuring out where it's going to go, I put it on some wax paper to just allow me to reposition that. Sorry about that jump in the video there, but I had to go make dinner, and so I had to come back to this at another time, and things got shifted in the process. So I've committed to the journal block being where it is and on the layers that it is, and I know I just need to further embellish the layout and put some fun things on there. So I have the ephemera pack, the die cuts, and I am not one to put elements that don't correlate with my story. I feel that the embellishments on a layout ought to supplement the story, and that hot air balloon has nothing to do with this story, but it worked nicely, and it kind of gave a resting place for the title to go, and so I ended up using that. I had found that tag and it said, I believe it says journey on the bottom of it, but so I was going to say hello journey and tell a story about the journey, but I didn't like that either, and so knew I needed to find something different. Between the two kits, there are tons of embellishments, which is fantastic because some of the kits in the past have been sort of light on the embellishments, especially the design team kits. We get things before you do, and so sometimes not everything has arrived in order to send them out to us. So it was really nice to have lots and lots of elements to choose from. So this is just some navy twine. I thought it would be fun to sort of give the illusion of clouds behind the hot air balloon. So I just sort of made a thread ball, as I call them, wadded up the thread and stuck that behind the hot air balloon and kind of just teased it up a little to make it random and not so symmetrical. So I'll stick that down, and again, as I said earlier, it gives me a nice place to nest the title. So I went big with this layout, and it's somewhat out of my comfort zone to cover that much of the picture, but I chose the picture intentionally. So I did find the puffy sticker that says adventure there, and it gets lost in the title. So what I do off camera, as I was taking pictures, I really realized that it was really hard to read that. So I took some of the black washi tape that comes with the kit, and I just ripped off a piece and stuck that behind adventure, and it really pops that title there. So those are all of the elements. I'm going to shuffle around a couple of other things. There's these labels, and I thought that might be fun tucked into the side again for a pop of color to sort of bring more pop to the layout, but that is more of a vertical, and most of the elements that I have are going horizontal across the page. So I abandoned that. And I come back to these puffy stickers because I saw that had the orange and I wanted another pop of color, and so I stuck that on the top of the layout there instead of doing the stamping that I thought might have been there. And then I saw a couple of orange arrows and a heart and a star, and I thought it might be fun to draw your eye to the title and the hello, but that gets a little lost in the hot air balloon. So I stick that back on, but I do find an orange heart, and it looked perfect in the darkness of the shadow of those trees right there above my son and my husband. So that, my friends, is my interpretation of the Cocoa Daisy sketch this month. We would love for you to play along. Thanks for joining me today. Enjoy the close-ups and take care.